Hello, and welcome to the Wednesday thing. This session is about giving yourself a break and looking at self-compassion and self-esteem. The Wednesday thing is a set of skills development sessions that the College Wellbeing Officers from the Counselling and Mental Health Service run. We present them lecture style rather than as a workshop or group, as this is what feedback indicated would be preferred. The materials we would have given out in a face-to-face presentation have been hyperlinked on our website under the Wednesday thing and the respective session. And within the presentation, we've referred to the use of them and highlighted it using red underlined text, so you can follow along with them if you wanted to. They're also referenced with their links at the end of this presentation. So our session aims are to have a brief look at self-compassion, and there's an optional exercise, a brief look at self-esteem with another optional exercise. And then we start looking at how to be your own ally and learning new techniques and skills, including thought challenging with an optional exercise, positive qualities record, self-soothing, and the stop technique. So to define self-compassion, we really need to start with what is compassion. The two are really one and the same. Compassion is an attitude that involves a certain set of feelings, thoughts, motives, desires, urges, and behaviours that can be directed towards any living thing, i.e. ourselves, another person, a group of people, a society, animals, the environment, and so on. Therefore, when we talk about self-compassion, we are specifying that this attitude is being directed internally towards ourselves. So the four key aspects of self-compassion are awareness, normalizing, kindness, and alleviation. So with awareness, being attentive or sensitive to the fact that some sort of suffering is occurring. Now, suffering could mean some distressing struggle with emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain, or all of the above. Normalizing, recognizing that experiencing this sort of pain is universal. We all experience pain at some point to varying degrees. The fact that we experience pain isn't a fault or failing of ours. We are not to blame for our pain, and we are not alone in our pain. Kindness, not shying away from or ignoring the pain, but meeting this pain with feelings of kindness, care, warmth, and concern. Alleviation, focusing our energy on ways to alleviate the pain, which may be via providing further comfort and caring actions, providing a helpful perspective regarding whatever the trouble is, or having the strength and courage to take other necessary actions to address the problem being faced. So this is the optional self-compassion exercise. The aim of it is to help you recognise the areas you may lack self-compassion in and the language you use towards yourself that may add to and reinforce it. So consider these questions. What do you usually beat yourself up about? What language do you use towards yourself during this? How does it make you feel? And what is the usual outcome? There's no worksheet for this exercise, and you may want to pause the video to work on it for 5 minutes or so if you wish. So looking at low self-esteem now. This is the model of low self-esteem, and please see the What Maintains Low Self-Esteem information sheet from which this model has been taken on the website under the Wednesday thing, and then the Give Yourself a Break session. So at the top we have the at-risk situations within which unhelpful rules and assumptions become apparent, and they activate our negative core beliefs. And then when those negative core beliefs have been activated because of an at-risk situation, we start engaging in biased expectations, so assuming that things will turn out badly, and negative self-evaluations, which are critical negative thoughts about ourselves. And then as a result of those two things, we start engaging in unhelpful behaviours and therefore unhelpful emotions and confirmations of our negative core beliefs. So it can become cyclical. So this is the model of healthy self-esteem, and please see the healthy self-esteem information sheet from which this model has been taken. At the top, we've still got those at-risk situations. There are still going to be situations and times where we feel under threat, or we feel that a little bit more susceptible to our old negative core beliefs, so they are still activated. But through developing more realistic expectations of ourselves and the situation using thought diaries, and developing more balanced self-evaluations about ourselves by thought diaries and listing our positive qualities and acknowledging those, we engage in more helpful behaviours. And therefore, the negative core beliefs can be adjusted, and the negative, unhelpful rules and assumptions we've got about ourselves and about at-risk situations can be adjusted. And when we start to engage in more helpful behaviours and more positive consequences. This is an optional self-esteem exercise. Have a go at completing the Centre for Clinical Intervention's Low Self-Esteem, How It's Maintained worksheet. And it may help you recognise your own negative self-evaluations and biased expectations. You may want to pause the video to work on it for 5 minutes or so if you wish. So looking at the techniques now, the first of which is thought challenging. Thought challenging is a technique from cognitive behavioural therapy. Its key aspect, is that our thoughts are not facts, just perceptions, just what we think. Because our thoughts are just perceptions, they can be influenced depending on how we feel. If we're feeling low or worried or tired, we may be more likely to perceive a situation negatively and engage in negative thinking as a consequence. It's the belief in negative thoughts as facts and truth that sustains our negative feelings and triggers further negative thoughts. It can become a cycle. Thought challenging aims to help us stop believing our negative thoughts as facts and instead question them and look for actual evidence that they're true, rather than assuming they are. It also helps us look for evidence that they're not true and to focus on all the positive facts we're ignoring. With this technique, we first identify what the negative thought is that's causing the negative feelings and recognise that the thought is the catalyst, even if we notice the feeling first, particularly if it's become habitual. Then we start to question the thought. We don't question the feeling because we are feeling how we're feeling, but we can question the thought that's triggering that feeling. We will be going through some thought challenging examples and exercises in a couple of slides' time. So, thought challenging and unhelpful thinking styles. Unhelpful thinking styles are types of negative thoughts, such as blaming yourself for everything, even when it's not all or at all your fault. We call this personalization. Filtering out the wider picture or positive aspects and focusing only on the negative aspects of a situation. Mental filter. Assuming we know what others are thinking or how a future event will go. Jumping to conclusions. Assuming the worst case scenario will happen or that events will turn out badly. We call it catastrophizing. Basing how you think on how you feel. For example, the only reason you think someone doesn't like you or something bad is going to happen is because you feel like that's the case. We call this emotional reasoning. Putting unrealistic expectations on yourself or beating yourself up because unrealistic expectations weren't achieved. Shoulding and musting. Seeing only one extreme or another. You are good or bad, right or wrong. There's no in between, and that is black and white thinking. And comparing yourself to others and putting yourself down as a result, often not considering any of the external factors. Compare and despair. Please refer to the Unhelpful Thinking Styles information sheet to read more about these types of thoughts. See if you recognise yourself in any. We all experience one or more of these types of thinking styles sometimes, depending on what we're doing and how we're feeling. They are very common. Don't worry if you recognise yourself in a few or all. The next couple of slides take us through some thought-challenging examples using the 7-column thought record worksheet that will be on our website with the rest. So here's the 7-column thought record worksheet. And we have a situation or a trigger, a hypothetical one. I've received a bad mark. And my feelings might be that I feel inadequate or stupid or embarrassed. And I have unhelpful thoughts. I have thoughts of, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm a failure, I've let people down. And that last thought, I've let people down, is an assumption about what other people are thinking. So it's a second type of thought. The first three are all negative thoughts about ourselves. So we keep with those first three to challenge thought. I received a bad mark. What's the fact against it that proves we aren't stupid, we aren't a failure, and we are good enough? It's not a fail mark. I haven't failed my degree, and I've gotten good marks previously. I'm here to learn, and I'm not meant to know it all yet. And I was accepted into university on my own merits. So here we are trying to not focus on the fact that we got a bad mark and assume that this means we are stupid. So to make a direct assumption about our intellectual capacity based on one instance of a bad mark, but instead to look at the wider picture. What else has happened? An alternative, more balanced and realistic perspective might be, whilst it's not my best mark, fine, it doesn't null and void all my previous good work. It doesn't make me a failure, capital F. We all get bad marks sometimes and can learn from them, but that doesn't change my intellectual capability. So what's the outcome? Maybe I feel calmer. Maybe I can think clearer about the feedback. And I know I can contact my tutor or learning developer for support on improvements I can make. So to come down to that second thought, then I've let people down. We have the same scenario. What's the evidence that we think means we have let people down? I feel like I've let people down. Remember, that's emotional reasoning. Doesn't mean you have. My parents want the best for me and supporting me financially. So what are the facts that prove against our unhelpful thought? Emotional reasoning is a negative automatic thought, a NAT, not a fact. So we can't use it as one. My parents never said I must get a first or distinction. They'd want me to be happy more than stressed, and I haven't failed my degree. So an alternative, more realistic and balanced perspective might be, my degree isn't over yet and the other marks have been good. And my parents are proud of me and would prioritise my happiness. So maybe we feel more confident that our parents love us regardless. And in this scenario, maybe I could tell them about my mark, and that would perhaps even further evidence that they would support me regardless. We've got one more scenario. The first one was an academic university-based one, and this one is more about our social lives. So the trigger or situation is that a friend has read my message but not responded. And maybe we are feeling anxious, isolated, rejected, angry, unsettled, unconfident. And our unhelpful thought is, I've done something wrong or offended them. They don't like me. And again, we are making an assumption with that last thought in bold. They don't like me. So that goes down there. And we focus on the negative thoughts we are making about ourselves. What's the evidence that we think we've done something wrong or offended them? They've seen the message but haven't responded yet. And what are the facts that prove against that unhelpful thought? They don't always reply immediately. They have commitments and other stuff going on. I'm guilty of seeing messages and not replying straight away. And we had fun last time we caught up. Where would be the instance that you've offended them? So what's a more alternative or balanced perspective? Seeing but not responding isn't an automatic indicator I've done something wrong. We had fun last time we caught up. There's no reason for them to be offended. And I'm feeling like this because, and that might be you've had a bad night's sleep, or you're feeling particularly vulnerable because of another at-risk scenario ongoing at the moment. And that would be trying to get you to pull back and see the wider picture and realise why you're feeling a bit anxious, why you're feeling more susceptible to assuming immediately you've done something wrong to a message that hasn't been responded. What's the outcome? Maybe I feel a little less distracted by it. Why don't I leave it a few hours and message them again to prompt a reply if they forgot? It happens. So now we look at the same scenario, but that thought about they don't like me, which again is separate because we are assuming it about someone else. So our fact for why they don't like me is that they haven't responded this time, and there have been other times when they didn't respond straight away too. And what are the facts that provide evidence against the unhelpful thought then? Those other times they were busy, working or studying. I'm guilty of not responding immediately to every message, and they often message first or instigate meeting up, and we have fun together. So if they weren't interested in us, if they didn't like us, they would never instigate meeting up. So an alternative, more realistic and balanced perspective might be, if a friend came with this situation, I'd tell them they were jumping to conclusions and catastrophizing. They like me and they seek me out. Right now, they're just distracted or busy. Again, it happens. So I hope that has given a bit of an example of how the thought diary works, or the thought record works. This is an optional thought challenging exercise. Have a go at this thought record on your own if you wanted to. If you can't print it off where you are, work through the headings on a different sheet of paper or on your phone, tablet, laptop, whatever format works best for you. It's the headings that are important. And you may want to pause this video for 10 or so minutes so you can do this if you wish. So on to the other techniques. Positive qualities record. Don't lose sight of all the positive qualities you have. Recognise that engaging the negative thought cycle can skew how you see those positive qualities. List them, keep them, revisit them, put them up somewhere you can see, not in a drawer. The Centre for Clinical Interventions has a blank positive qualities record worksheet you can do this on. Self-soothing. There are lots of self-soothing ideas. Find ones that work for you. They can be grounded in the 5 senses, and you can make your own self-soothing kit. We've listed some ideas here. You may want to pause this video at this point to have a look through them. They are: make a nice meal or a snack for yourself, enjoy a favourite non-alcoholic drink, have a picnic, meet or speak to a friend, take a walk in the lovely surroundings, look at beautiful art or scenery, go to a beautiful place, enjoy time in the sunshine, light a candle, watch the stars, put on soothing or enjoyable music, enjoy the sound of nature, sing, use a favourite perfume or lotion, enjoy the smells of nature or flowers, have a bath, pamper yourself, soak your feet, read a good book or magazine, watch a good TV show, imagine a relaxing scene or safe place, do some relaxation or meditation, do some slow breathing, smile to yourself, laugh out loud, take a break, enjoy staying in bed for 20 minutes, listen to a favourite podcast, look at your positive qualities record. Another technique is the STOP technique. STOP stands for stop, take a breath, observe, pull back, and practice. It's helpful to remember when you start feeling low in self-esteem or engaging in negative thoughts that there's a process whereby you can slow your initial reaction and check over what's actually going on. See the STOP technique information sheet for further information about this. And below here we've got stop, take a breath, observe. What thoughts are going through your mind right now? What's your focus? What are you reacting to? Pull back, put in some perspective. Don't believe everything you think. Can you use any techniques to help get through this moment? And then practice what works. Proceed with it. There are other Wednesday Think sessions. Get Up and Go is looking at routine and sleep management. Practically Perfect and Putting It Off is looking at perfectionism and procrastination or putting things off. Worry in a Hurry is looking at managing worry, anxiety and panic. These were the resources used in this presentation. And that's the end of this presentation. I hope you found it helpful. You can look at our website for more resources as well.